individuals and the organizations which they represent interlocked with the State Department and our Foreign Affairs and the United Nations, and they're very globally conscious and politically conscious, and they're trying to create a system. They fondly refer to it as the New World Order. But actually, that's where their eyes are set right now, and they're trying to create a new global currency as a step in that direction. So your question is very perceptive, I think, because it points up the fact that these people are interested in a lot more than just money. Money to them is a means to a larger goal, which is the creation of a global system, which they will control, of course.
What is the global system? What is the New World Order that the people that run the Fed and their supporters in the government and in the banks would like to establish?
Well, it's pretty clear to understand if you read their literature and listen to their speeches. What they're talking about is a global government, and they call it governance or sometimes, but it's a global government which will be based on the model of collectivism. In other words, a totalitarian type of government with control from the top down, where the people at the bottom do not control the people at the top, have no voice in their affairs. And, of course, it's all designed for the good of the people, they say. It's for the better of the people, for society. It's to put an end to wars and all of that sort of thing. But it's to be a totalitarian system. So the short answer is it's global government based on the model of collectivism.
What are the chances of the Fed being audited, and what are the chances of the march toward totalitarianism by the Fed and by others as well can be stopped?
Well, I think that it will be stopped. The only question that is an annoying question is when. And that depends, I think, on how fast the American people wake up to the realities that's really out there. And then it depends on how quickly they can change the leadership, which they now have directing their affairs. Because nothing will happen, in my view, until the leadership changes. The leadership is primarily very corrupt. They're corrupted by the very system now we must change.
I was surprised in watching the interview with Ben Bernanke. I mean, I've known, I guess since I first started to study this, Peter Schiff has written and spoken extensively about it. You have, Tom Woods has, Lou Rockwell has, that if the Fed wants to increase the wealth of a member bank, it just literally adds some zeros to that bank's bank account with the Fed. But when Ben Bernanke conceded that on 60 Minutes a couple of months ago, I was driving my car at the time. I almost ran off the side of the road in a ditch to think that he would even admit that they actually do that. Literally create wealth out of thin air by adding zeros to a book account.
Yeah, well, they can't deny it, and actually they're quite proud of it. The Federal Reserve literature that you can get from most of the regional banks, it's kind of dry reading, but if you read those little booklets they hand out, they say the same thing. They say, yes, we create money out of nothing, but isn't that wonderful? You know, it's that kind of an approach.
I thought only God could create something.
Isn't it wonderful that we can do that and help you folks out there and protect your economy? See, that's their argument.
Unbelievable. Ed Griffin, the book is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's a pleasure chatting with you. Come back and visit us again on Freedom Watch.
I'd be delighted. Thank you.
Thank you. Sitting next to me is somebody I have longed to meet for a long time, Sergeant Adam Kokesh, United States Marine Corps. Welcome here, Sarge.
Hoorah, thanks for having me.
I'm going to call, hoorah, that's a Marine Corps thing. All right. I'm going to call you Adam if you don't mind.
That's all right.
Okay, and of course sitting next to me is my buddy and sidekick, whom I have been remiss in not introducing yet, Shelley Roche, who takes all of the emails and all of the Twitters and all of the tweets throughout the show. Is the gang weighing in?
They are.
All right.
Excited to get the updates on the Federal Reserve.
All right. Good. I'll let you hang on to those, and we'll get to them in a minute. I understand that you have been, we'll get to your background in a minute, that you may have some kind of an announcement that you want to make about your political future. There's all kinds of rumors swirling around about you. I get emails from people that I don't know that tell me they're admirers of Freedom Watch and of you, and they tell me that you should be running for office in New Mexico, and that if you ever succeeded at any level of government there, it would be a great thing for freedom. So tell me what's cooking.
Well, speaking of great things for freedom, I'm really honored to have this opportunity on your show, and I really appreciate everything that this show represents for the movement, and that's why I made the effort to come all the way out here and do this in person in studio from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And on May 1st, we announced an exploratory committee for my run for Congress to represent New Mexico's 3rd District.
Right.
And we did so without declaring a party because we wanted to show that we are putting principle first. That's very important today when both parties have really drifted from their core values. But today, I'm happy to announce that we just filed the paperwork with the FEC, and I will be returning to my roots and seeking the Republican nomination to represent New Mexico's 3rd District in the United States House of Representatives.
Well, congratulations to you. It's a great victory for freedom, and I hope you succeed. But why the Republican Party, which many libertarians call an empty vessel? You know that phrase.
Well, I don't think it's an empty vessel. I think the people that call it that are doing it a disservice because they're not acknowledging that it used to really stand for something, and by the platform, it still does. And for me, returning to my roots within the Republican Party, in doing so, I hope to return and hope to call the Republican Party back to its roots in constitutionalism. And their actual platform is a very good one. The only problem is that it's been so far divorced from what the leaders within the Republican Party are actually espousing.
Right,
and so
right.
if we can make it the party of big tent, smaller government, if we can make it the party of the Constitution, we can once again make it a force for good and freedom in America.
All right, you're running against a liberal Democrat with whom there was really no comparison in terms of what he believes and what you believe.
Well, liberal is almost too nice a word to describe so many people in Congress today, because that would suggest that they have values and principles.
Right.
No, this guy is a party line Democrat who's voted with the party 99% of the time since being elected.
How difficult will it be to get the Republican nomination, and what are the issues? What are the 3 or 4 most important issues on which you would run? And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that you are an Iraq War veteran, now a fierce, intellectual, from your heart opponent of the morality and lawfulness of that war. Did I describe it right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Coming from me, that's a compliment.
I appreciate it. Well, seeking the Republican nomination in New Mexico's 3rd District is a challenge that I look forward to in terms of reaching out to the people there and showing them that in order to win this district, you have to have a message that transcends traditional partisan politics, and that the only way to do it really is with someone who realizes that these wars are not good for America, they're not making us any safer, and they're not constitutional. We've already raised over $50,000 almost exclusively in online donations. We've had a great show of support from people all across the district. I've been traveling, talking to people from a variety of political ideologies, and they're all very supportive of this message because they realize that we need to reduce the size of government, get it back inside the Constitution in order to restore freedom in the United States. So for me, the priorities are the Constitution, low taxes, restoring economic freedom, individual liberties, and a foreign policy that reflects those values.
Talking like the Marines used to talk. Sergeant, thanks very much. Stay with us. Peter Schiff joins us now, one of my regular buddies here on Freedom Watch. Were you surprised when the vice chair of the Fed late last week, after our show last week, basically threatened the Congress and the American people, if you audit us, we're going to raise everybody's interest rates?
I didn't even hear that.
A guy by the name of Donald Cohn, most people have probably never heard of him. I'm sure you know who he is, but actually went before Congress and threatened them.
Well, I mean, they should be raising interest rates anyway. The fact that they would hold it off as a threat to try to, make sure they don't get audited. But, I want to correct something that you said that wasn't accurate. You said with the Federal Reserve, they add zeros to a bank account and they create wealth. They don't. They create claims to wealth,
there you go.
Which is the problem.
There you go.
They create a claim to wealth that somebody didn't earn.
Exactly.
If you can actually create wealth with a printing press, I'd be all for it.
Is that
but you can't do it.
Is that what we call fiat money, the Latin word for fiat? Just let it be.
But in the process, it's theft because they're transferring purchasing power away from everybody else to the favored entity that receives the new money.
Why is it that more people don't understand the pernicious, the deleterious, the harmful nature of letting any entity in our country add zeros to a book account?
I don't know. I mean, most people, they think about money. They know they have money, and they know they can spend it. And if they just had more, they can spend more. They don't understand that that doesn't represent wealth, but claims to wealth. And they somehow think that if there's just more money, if everybody just had more money, that we can solve a lot of problems. But we can't. We need more production to solve more problems. The reason that people don't have things is not because they lack money, but because they lack productivity.
Joining us now is Lou Rockwell, who's the chair and founder of the Von Mises Institute. Lou, welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Judge, great to be with you.
Thank you. You're with Sergeant David Kokesh. You're with our friend Peter Schiff, and you're with our good buddy Shelley Roche as well. Lou, doesn't anybody understand that adding zeros to a book account doesn't create wealth, but perhaps, as Peter Schiff so nicely pointed out, just the illusion